Our guys, Coldplay, Dave. One of your favorite rock groups of all time, if I understand. Uh Dave, give me your quick, just like general Coldplay take.
I just want something just like this. Uh, no, I've never been a huge Coldplay guy in terms of modern bands. Like I've gravitated to other acts. That's all. Um, I like some of the hits, like "Viva La Vida," for example. I remember that
Ah,
coming out at a you know notable time during high school. I don't even think I really knew who Coldplay was until that whole album cycle happened. To be honest, I didn't know about the early stuff as a kid. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and then like now I just see them as a legacy act, and we talked about that a
Uh,
lot with the last album, their eighth album that came out in November 2019.
Everyday
And
life.
right, and it's funny to reflect on that album after the album we just got, Music of the Spheres, album 9.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny because the evolution of Coldplay, they've always kind of been this band that fluctuates back and forth, and this is like the most extreme example we can have, especially this like album run of A Head Full of Dreams to Everyday Life to Music of the Spheres, not including the live album in between there, going from a huge anthemic, pop rock album to a stripped down acoustic guitar driven album back to Music of the Spheres, which is right back on the horse, and we're flying high through the galaxy, baby, on these pop rock EDM fucked songs, dude.
Yeah,
I
and
like it more.
and that's what's funny too, because I literally watched a review of Everyday Life, and I was like, I respect the desire to go down the stripped down route and not just capitulate to homogeneous pop as you see your commercial viability waning as your band gets into their third decade and it's like 22nd decade. Well, it turns out that's exactly what they did on the next album because the stripped down album is their least successful album commercially. It's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
who could have seen this coming?
Yeah, man. And they really go for it on this. And you know what? I I really liked a couple of the tracks on this. I have to say. Like I don't think there's
Stand
anything
by
here
it,
that's
man.
there's not
It's
anything
pop,
here
man.
that's
There's nothing
like,
wrong with good pop.
yeah. And there's nothing here that's like top tier Coldplay. Like there's nothing here that's like Yellow or The Scientist or anything like that. But I do think like Higher Power and Humankind are like decent pop rock Coldplay songs. I think Higher Power, especially like near the ending, just finishes up really strong. Like really finds a nice groove in the second half. It's got that 80s vibe that pretty much every like pop rock band has to infuse into its albums at this point. But I think they do it pretty well. Did you like that track?
Yeah, sure. Max Martin is like the chief creative officer of this album. I, the
He's the
man behind,
COO.
yeah, the man behind Melodic Math. It's a decent fit. Like you said, I think sonically you can understand the intent in terms of just making pop. I would hardly call a lot of this pop rock, to be honest. I would just say it's more or less
Straight pop.
mainstream pop these days.
Yeah.
Actually, People of the Pride, that song stood out to me because there's actually like big guitar and drums on that, which is
Mhm.
so unlike most of the rest of the album. Um, but I guess Martin found a way. It's like we want to make a pop record. What should we do? What's to our strengths? And he managed to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one song that stood out to me because I think it's actually legitimately really good, and that song just went number one. Coldplay's second song ever to do this, first since "Viva La Vida," and that would of course be "My Universe" with BTS.
Yeah. I mean, that's the clear standout on here. It also sounds like it starts off with a live performance, which
Yeah,
I don't know if that's actually true or they just pumped the
I think it's a
crowd noise
sample.
in. But yeah, I think it really stands out. And obviously, if you get BTS on a track, it's most likely going to go number one. But I still think the song's pretty good.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, no one would call late period Coldplay like lyrical masterminds. It's never been a strength of Chris Martin, even if you asked him. But in the case of My Universe, taking most of the songwriting and vocal performance out of Chris Martin's hands and just letting him basically do I want something just like this all over again.
Yeah.
on the chorus. It works because I think you get a really tremendous BTS feature. Jungkook on the pre-chorus, Jimin in that second verse, and then Suga on the next pre-chorus. I
Mhm.
thought all those guys sounded tremendous,
Yeah, man.
and I think it's a really lovely pop song. And they did a really nice job with the video, I think, too, in terms of having all the BTS guys look like holograms because they were not obviously in the same location making this video. But they did a really, really cool job with that, and also fits kind of the aesthetic of this universe, this music of the spheres, these emoji songs, all that. But yeah, I think My
Yeah.
Universe is legitimately a really good track.
Yeah, I think My Universe is good. Going back, Humankind, I really like the ending, like the last minute. There's really like some strong like guitar and rock elements in there. And I also really respect Coloratura, which 10-minute track, but like they go for it and there's
Yeah.
like piano breaks and like guitar riffs in there and some like nice chanting, and I'm like, hey, they like took a swing at the end of this album. It's obviously not going to get them a lot of commercial success, but it seems a lot more like they're building out these like live huge anthemic performances, which is pretty cool. um you do have to kind of wade through some crap in my opinion. Let Somebody Go with Selena, I thought was just not very good at all.
Mm.
um Beautiful, I don't know, didn't totally work for me. Um, and the heart song, I think it is, I also didn't really like. That's the other thing, just like the emoji tracks. I'm like, what are we doing here? I don't know.
These guys are in their mid 40s. Like, come on
Yeah,
now.
like what is going on?
It's just like gimmicky, It's not
Yeah,
like it's creative or
but it's
funny or
gimmicky.
anything. It's just weird.
It's gimmicky for who? Like a teenager, like a 13-year old?
Yeah, I don't think
Like
they're impressed by this either because they're not
they're not
listening to
even
this
listening to
except for the
this. Yeah.
BTS song.
Exactly. They're like, oh, well, here's the BTS song. Now I can close this album and never open it again. Put it on a playlist. So yeah, I don't know who that's for, but you know, this album I expected much worse. So overall, I'm pleased with this Coldplay performance. I'm sure we'll see them doing a lot of festivals next year. So shout out to Coldplay. They're also great live. So if you can catch them live, I really recommend it. So
Finding a way to stand out one way or another when you're on your ninth album,
yeah.
deserves some credit at the very least.
Well, again, Nowstalgia Best of 2021 on Spotify.